Hi everyone, kia ora koutou katoa. Thank you for joining me today in day 2 of this NLP and Hypnotherapy series that I am doing. I'm grateful for today. It's a beautiful day outside on the east. I see beautiful sun out there, and it's going to be a wonderful day today because I get to also invest in time with my daughter. I feel like she's missed her mummy for a couple of weeks there, and so this weekend is all about feeding into my connection with my daughter and having fun with her and just being a fun mum instead of a busy entrepreneurial mum. And anyone who's a mummy who works from home, who's in the entrepreneurial space, maybe you're a coach, maybe you're a leader, maybe you are in multi-level marketing, whatever it is, it can get busy. And especially if you're a one lady show and you're doing all the little bits and bobs as well as being a parent, sometimes it can get a bit much. So it's great to get out of the house and to separate work from home every once in a while. So I'm looking forward to Mummy Daughter Day 2 today, and likewise, I'm excited to be doing this video. So the title of this video is what is NLP, and in particular, what is neuro-linguistic programming. So it's really important because that abbreviation is common. There's another abbreviation out there, but I don't want you to get muddled up and mixed up and go on your Google search and find the wrong thing. So I feel like it's really important for me to clarify. So today I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about neuro-linguistic programming, and then in the next video tomorrow I'll be sharing with you what is hypnotherapy, and also give you some background information about these modalities, because it's important to know how they have benefited millions of people all over the world and how they are present in everyday life. You may just not be aware of it, or you may not have seen it before. You may have experienced before, seen it before, but just didn't know where that was coming from, what those frameworks in which, or constructs or contexts or content in which you received them, you didn't even know, or you couldn't point to where they come from. And so I feel like this is important for the foundational aspects of knowing what these modalities are and how they can serve you in your life and in your business, both professionally and also personally, and how you relate to yourself. First and foremost, I believe the relationship with yourself is the most important relationship, because it governs and is a mirror and reflection in some ways to every other connection and relationship that you will ever have. And I was having a conversation with my mother a couple of days ago, and she has never really done any personal development. She's open to it. She just has never gone down that path, and I've invited her a couple of times because I'm her daughter. That's another thing that you'll learn on the journey of helping and healing, that your family probably won't see you as the go-to person to sort out those issues unless they have kind of like, if they don't know you, it's easier to unload to some stranger than it is your own family member, because you have to live with them, or you have to be around them, you have to, they're never going to go away in some aspect. They're always going to be there. If not physically, bloodlines are tied together. So there's that real fear that that getting help from someone that you know and love, or even being able to trust someone that you know and love, can be a difficult thing to do, and it's not ideal anyway as a practitioner, as a professional, to work with your family. Even when I was in the nursing space as a registered nurse, if I had a friend or a family member, someone I knew, come into hospital and be an emergency where I worked, there was always a conflict of interest, and so it was advised not to work with those people. My nephew came in one time, was very sick. Obviously, that's very different. I will be there as an advocate for my family to be the bridge between, the professionals and the health professionals and my family, so that they feel safe. But that's, it's always based on what's happening at the time and the context. So I will dive a bit deeper today with neuro-linguistic programming, what it is, and how it can benefit you. So first of all, as it relates to my program that I've created in my academy that I've created, which will be is the I guess the overarching institution. No, I don't like that word institution. I don't like it. Just academy is a better name for all the modalities that I will be training people in, certifying people in, but also all the healing modalities that are to come as well. And so under that framework, I have based it on the Te Whare Tapawhā model by Mason Dury. And this is a model that has been fundamental in Māori culture and Māori health, and it's the four wars of health, or hauora in the Māori. And these are physical, mental, spiritual, and family. Family is seen as fundamental and foundational. From a perspective of coaching or leadership, environment is so key. And the whānau is that support network. Sometimes they're not supportive. Sometimes it's the opposite, but it's that network of people who are in your environment that they're not in alignment with your path, then it's good to replace that environment with people who are on the same consciousness, on the same level as you, and who are going in the same direction to ensure that you reach your fullest potential, your goals and your dreams and your desires. So Te Whare Tapawhā is taha wairua, which is spiritual, taha hinengaro, which is mental plane, your mindset, taha whānau, which is family, and taha tinana, which is the physical aspect, so our engine, our motor, our vessel, our sacred temple, by which everything is going to play out, right? If we don't have our health, and I certainly know this over the last couple of years, we don't have that as a foundation, we don't have family or that support network as a foundation, if we don't have our mental mindset, our hinenaro, our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings in check, and if we're not connected to something more than ourselves, if it's just the ego trip of getting, but there's no growth and or contribution to two spiritual needs of the six basic human needs, and if there's no connection to source, to God, to Eo, to our ancestors, to our higher self, to our vision and our mission, which is all connected to the seeds that are planted in us when we were born, and probably predestined before and foreordained before we were even born, then life can get kind of, just bleak, and we can get caught up in the mayhem and the news and the media and the hysteria and everything else that is going on. And so that is basically what my academy is focused on, that Te Whare Tapawhā model. When you have those four wars in check, then your whare, your house, you as a person, your whare, your land space can hold dominion, can be strong, can have integrity, can be sovereign in its authority, and it doesn't matter what happens. The rain may come, cyclones may come, the winds, as long as it's on foundation of concrete, of something stable, which are these elements, then just like the wise man who built his house upon the rock, and then the foolish man who built his house upon sand, and when the rains came, his house just washed away. But the wise man's home and whare was still standing. And so I want you to remind yourself of that as it relates to yourself and in your own life, that if these things are in place and they're going in the right direction, and you are receiving energy rather than feeling drained by these not being in balance, then awesome. I fully am happy for you that you are fully in alignment with you and your kaupapa, your mission, and I fully support that. There's something that's out of alignment, then maybe perhaps there is definitely work, mahi, some awareness, tapping into your gifts more, taking time out to really understand yourself and to come to know and to be revealed to yourself in a deeper, more meaningful way that has got nothing to do with external validation or anyone outside of yourself, but more so a deep resonance with yourself. So I'm all for that, mahi. I just think I don't think as in mental plane, I know for myself that it is fundamental, the patients that I helped, the thousands of patients over the years in corporate, over 27 years, I always saw these people who didn't live the life that they wanted to live, that maybe something bad happened during their life and they just didn't have the tools necessary. Oh my gosh, so many people to get the outcome that they want, and it's really sad to see, but hey, it's life. They say that the urupao, the cemetery, is the most it's like a gold mine there, because a lot of people who died didn't get to fulfill their dreams and didn't get to actualize their wishes, their wants for their family, for themselves, and some died young and didn't even get to see their adulthood. So it's a real mission of mine to bring awareness to these aspects. And if you get one thing out of this, please comment down below. Please ask me questions. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. If you're watching live, let me know where you are watching from, #replay. I love to interact with you all and with my community. So what is neuro-linguistic programming? It's a modality that's been scientifically proven. It's a successful methodology. It's something that offers tools, techniques, processes for anyone and everyone who has a brain and who has a body. So it doesn't have a preference. It is a very easy, swift technique. Some of them take maybe minutes. Some of them take seconds. Some of them might take 20, 30 minutes, but they're all fast and quick. And it's also foundational mindset. It's the way in which to have excellence in life. It's the way in which to communicate with yourself. It's the way in which to have a foundation or a structure that creates an empowering system in your life, so that even if you go through a rough patch, might be experiencing depression or something like that, when you have the architecture and these tools, even when you go through that, you are still able to rise, because you have this knowledge and you have this expertise, and you've used it on yourself, and you've also seen it being used with other people, and you've utilized these tools and this mentality of this mindset with your clients as well, and it's ultimately life-changing. So it's a way in which to reprogram your nervous system, your central nervous system. We have a couple of nervous systems. There's depth and breadth, and I just want to get to just basics here in this video. I'm not going to go into a whole sermon on the nervous system. We do have an autonomic nervous system, which is rest and digest, and we have a sympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system is linked to the fight, flight, freeze, immobilization, fawn, responses. And if those are running all the time, then there's not much room to get all the other needs met from the body. It's not much room for the body to get rest. It's not much room for the system, the whole system as a whole, you as a person, to be able to really integrate and be a healthy human. So if you've had something happen that was quite traumatic when you were little and you didn't deal with it, you just suppressed or repressed, or you didn't even have the words to formulate a sentence to acknowledge that particular imprint and that trauma that happened in your timeline. So you don't even know, like myself when I was 3 and sexually abused, I don't know at the time that that's something wrong. But your body does, and later on, maybe when you're 20 or in your 30s, it will witness it to you, because your body never lies. Your body's wisdom is so powerful. And so with NLP, you can reprogram your nervous system through the use of language, and can do this in a way where you start to come into collaboration with your nervous system instead of being at the effect of what happened when you were little and it continuing to run and run and run, and it plays out in every aspect of your life. It's a way in which to organize and understand how people think, how they feel, how they language things, the meanings that they make, and their behavior, which ultimately produces the results that they have. So NLP is it's a methodology that you can use to model outstanding people. You can utilize it in a way where someone who has got the results that you want, that you align to, that you in some way have rapport with, you can, without doing all the things that they did to get there, you can just model the simple behaviors, the rituals, the patterns of thinking, the way in which they view the world into your everyday life, and start to see fast track getting those results that they got because of a modeling, which is another way in which you can utilize NLP, and it can assist and help you in your life, in your professional life, your business, and also parenting. So neuro, obviously it's a neurological, which stands for brain, and it's the neurology part of neuro-linguistic programming. And this is where you have a unique filtering system. And with these filters, there's a lot of filters, which I won't get into. And there will be also filters as per gender as well. Some of the filters are values, standards, beliefs, your culture, your religion. But there's also, I believe, filters for men, filters for women, and other unique experiences. And based on those filters, the data that is constantly coming at you every second, there is about 11 million bits of information coming at you. And this changes. So there's about 2 million, some say, some others say 11 million. There's around about 11 million bits of information coming at you all at once, every second. So imagine if you've got all that information just coming at you externally, outside of yourself, and you have no time to process that. But what you can do is generalize, delete, and distort down to about 134,000 bits pieces of information. So that's a bit more tangible, that's a bit more easier. And we generalize, delete, and distort based on our filtering system. So imagine something happens to you, like for myself at 3, sexually abused. And after that event, after that timestamp, after that imprint on my timeline, how it made me feel, for the rest of my life, I would generalize, delete, and distort. And this is true because this is what happened. Every experience with a man from that point, every experience. And that would not be in a positive light towards men that were supposed to protect me, towards father figures who were supposed to, know better, because it was my biological father. And it ended up taking place, this little seed of this trauma at 3, in my relationships, with my men, with my brothers, with my boy cousins, with my anyone. And that's not healthy. That's not a healthy way in which to look at life. If you have this one event that happened from an unhealthy individual, let's be honest, someone who does that is pretty sick. But yet frame everything based on that one incident, or there's a couple. But for this example, I'll just use that one 3-year-old for every single relationship. That's not fair on the other men. And so this is what we tend to do. This is basically what we do. We generalize and we delete and we distort based on our filtration system. And it's done in a couple of ways. There's audio, which is hearing, visual, seeing, kinesthetic, feeling, AD, which is internal, and also gustatory and taste, which is taste and smell, olfactory. So with this filtrating, we filtrate everything that's coming into our awareness, and we make a generalization, a distortion, and a deletion, so that we can get down to 134,000 bits per second. Now with linguistics, then what we do is we have thoughts, we have feelings, and we language this and we make a meaning based on what's coming through. And of those meanings, so for me, all men are scary, or all men can't trust men around any child, because it happened to me. I was a child and no one knew, no one protected me. So all children are not safe around men. Do you see how this is a real distortion? And I have to admit, like even today, I'm very protective of children. Very protective of little kids, like babies. I don't care how old they are. And I just need to know that they are safe. And so that's just something that I feel like is a great thing. But when it comes into intruding on their volition, their will, their decision making, like for example, my daughter, when it comes into she wants to go out with her friends, and I'm like, I want to go and follow and make sure like every man around her is a good man, like that's kind of that. Then I need to do inner work. Then I need to come back into doing my inner work. And at the end of the day, we have no control over these things. Our children, we just have to trust we did the best for our children, like at the end of the day, they're going to go and do their own thing. So I always have to come back to, it's okay, let's calm down. I don't have to put my nurse hat on anymore, or the trauma. It's good. And that's because I've done lots of work on that. So the way in which we language and the way we talk to ourselves mainly, there's over between 6,000 to 12,000 thoughts that we can have in a day. The numbers are out on that. Science is proven and research, but there's different numbers. So I go between 6 to 12,000 thoughts, rather than the 77,000 that was my initial belief. And so of those thoughts, if they're all negative, or 90% of them are negative, and negative self-talk, like, I don't feel good about myself, or I'm not enough, or I'm not loved, or no one likes and cares about me, or my family don't accept me. If I have that in my language every day, it's going to take an imprint. It's going to make an effect. It's going to create different behaviors that are probably unrelenting, unconscious, unhealthy, and not making me an unstoppable person. In fact, impacting me from stopping to be the person that I truly know that I am. And so the language, the way we speak to ourselves, needs to be transformative instead of disruptive and abusive and downright unnecessary sometimes, in the way we talk to ourselves, our children, and others. And so that's the linguistic part, how you can transform the way you talk to yourself in a much more meaningful way. Affirmations, incantations, decrees, declarations, where you just command and stand in your authority and say, enough is enough. I do not consent. I do not consent to the BS. I do not consent to this dysfunction, whatever it is. It's a powerful way in which to lead a life that is well informed, rather than being misinformed and being stuck in the past. So that's the linguistic part. And then the programming part is where you get to notice and see yourself in the behaviors that you may respond to. The behavioral responses from the filtering, and then from the language that we make, it will create a state, and it will create a behavior. So if the behavior or the common patterns that are congruent in your life is sort of lower level, they are not getting the best response, they are probably less than what you could be living at, or what you could be actualizing in your life, then that's an opportunity to have a deeper look at what could I do and what could I take responsibility for, rather than blaming someone else, rather than blaming the past, rather than me blaming my biological father for how messed up he was and how he messed up me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's an opportunity to look at these responses, and that can be just minute. It could be the tomato sauce triggers you, or your partner triggers you, or your children trigger you, or your grandchildren trigger you. It could be the sun triggers you. It could be anything, because you have a mental picture and an association with a smell, a taste, it could be cigarettes, could be anything. So whatever it is, the response that is taken, and if it's not good for you, good for the planet, good for anyone, it's not good for your own vision of yourself and who you are and your standards and values, then it's an opportunity to have a look. For example, me freaking out with my daughter. This is just an example. And she switched her phone off. I rang her. She was untraceable because she had her phone off. So because I couldn't see her location, because I couldn't get a contact with her, because I didn't know any of her friends' numbers, I just went into the state of overwhelm. Now, on the outside looking in, and from my perspective, if I was going to not take responsibility, I could blame her for my response, because it's her fault she didn't have a phone on. It's her fault that she didn't communicate with me. It's her fault that I even had that response, right? It's easy to do that. But I want to encourage you to raise the bar in your life and in your mindset, and NLP is a great way to do that, because I know that this is not so much about me. Yes, she must have her phone on. Yes, she cannot turn her connection off, her location off. But really, what is going on within me, that this is still a response for me to go to freak out and be ready to call the police. Similarly enough, I got a hold of her friends. They called me, contacted me, and everything was fine. She was just living her best life, and I didn't need to go into that panic mode. But that's a response, and I'm human enough to admit that, although I don't, anyway, the human word, that's a linguistic, that I am, the 3D aspect of myself, although I see myself as multidimensional, but that's besides the point. So the programming, and once you do one thing one time, and then you do it again, it becomes more of a go-to. It becomes more of a pattern. And over time and over years, it becomes an identity. And so we've got to be really careful about our identity if it's not the identity that we want. So everyone experiences, trauma. Everyone experiences something difficult that happened in their life. And with NLP, which was created in the 1970s by Richard Bandler and John Grinder, they were two young men who at the time, they just noticed that there's some geniuses who did things different ways. Virginia Satir, Milton Erickson, and Fritz Perls. And they wanted to study them. And so they did. They studied them. They found a coding. They found similar patterns. They understood them enough to write a book. And they modeled them to see if what they were doing, these geniuses, they could get the same results. So it's fascinating how NLP came about. It's fascinating, the story of NLP. And it's also really important to know and understand that anything that is going to assist and help you in your life is a benefit. Is a benefit to you, to your children. My daughter said the other day, like, you're different. I said, what do you mean I'm different? She said, oh no, you're just like, you're different. You're not like my friends. Their parents are different, and you just don't, like the things you say and stuff. Like I'm so glad that you're my parent. And so it's an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity to live a life that is congruent to yourself and also to what you want to create in your life. So I hope that helped you a little bit understand neuro-linguistic programming. I will be coming back with more about NLP and to really dissect it and to see how, and I will share some tools and techniques which may benefit you in just your daily life, in your business, as a parent, in your health. My passion is health as well, because I certainly come from a health background, and speaking to your body in a healthy way, listening to and telling your body healthy, loving, caring thoughts. Pain is a signal. Pain is a signal of misalignment. Pain is a signal of there's something out, and pain is the last. I feel like it's the last stage, because all the other times your body was trying to tell you something, you didn't listen. So pain is good, although it may not feel good. When you have pain in your body, that's a sign. Go deeper. Go and listen to your body. Stop looking up Google. You don't need a healer. You don't need someone to come and you just need to listen to your body. Return to your inner original blueprint. Return home to the truth of who you are. And that's on a cellular molecular energy. That's on a cellular molecular level. You can switch on your DNA codes. DNA really has nothing to do with it, because you can switch them on and off. What you do have power of is this. is this, is in the moment. You can make a different decision if you're willing to. So I hope that helps. Be unstoppable. Have a flippin' awesome, wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. This is Jocelyn Nederansky. Much love, everybody. Take care. Bye. Anyway, take care.